In this video, we're going to be thinking about strategic career planning. Now, you might be wondering why strategic career planning is a very important topic for you to think about at this stage of your career. Well, the answer is relatively straightforward, and that is everybody, pretty much at every stage of their career, but particularly as you become more senior, needs to stop, reflect, and think about how they anticipate that their career is going to develop in the short, medium, and long term. And if you don't do that, you will find that decisions are made for you, or that you are put in situations where you have to make a decision about your career in a time frame that means that you can't really consider the options that you have or think about what it is you really want to do. Now, the reason that strategic career planning is becoming increasingly important and something that you really need to actively think about is because, unlike careers of the past, careers themselves are no longer linear. And what I mean by that is that when you join an organisation as a graduate or as a relatively junior person, the chances of you actually staying with that organisation for the rest of your career is actually very, very remote now. And in fact, it may even be that you will change professional direction, not once or twice, but maybe more times as you go through your career. Quite a lot of work has been done on this by a woman called Linda Gratton at the London Business School, and she's written a book called The 100-Year Life, and you can find her on Google, you can buy the book and read it. But what she talks about is the fact that because lifespans have increased, our working lives have increased as well. You can see that through the postponement of pension payments by governments and by the fact that people are working longer and longer. And so when you think about your career, the role that you do now, the industry that you're in now, is perhaps just one of a number of steps that you're going to have to take. And to manage those transitions and to do the things that you're going to find interesting as you continue through your career, you're going to need to actively plan where you are going to go and what you are going to do. The other reason it's very important to think about strategic career planning is that we are presented with decision points as we go through our career. And if we haven't given some thought to how we want our careers to develop and progress, we will be put in a position where we will have to make judgments and decisions very quickly without the appropriate information or having given the appropriate thought. And these decision points tend to crop up either when you're thinking about whether or not you want promotion. So do I want to be a managing director? Do I want to be a partner? Do I want to be an SVP? Do I want to change career direction? At the other time it's really important to think about strategic career planning and have done some work in advance is where your career turns out not to be progressing as you would have liked it to, and that suddenly you are presented with a situation where either you're at risk in that you have to leave, or that it's become quite clear that you're treading water and there is no further advancement for you where you are. So how do we strategically think about our career? Well, the first thing is to be proactive rather than reactive. A lot of people I talk to who are in their mid stages of their careers have actually had relatively little strategic thinking behind how their careers have developed to that date. And the reason for this is that most organisations, most industries have a relatively clear career progression path up to a certain level. Once you reach a point where you actually need to think about what you want from your future in terms of promotion, progression, focus, environment, work-life balance, you need to start strategically planning what you're going to do. The next thing you need to do when you're thinking about strategic career planning is be alert to opportunities and be curious about things that are going to actually engage you and actually want you to continue to develop and work in a particular area. So what do we need to think about as we take a step back and begin to do some strategic career planning? Well, the first thing to think about is that you're a work in progress. Your career is a work in progress. It never stops. It is something that continually evolves and develops throughout your life. And that's one of the reasons why you need to actually have some active thought around what you want to do and where you want to go. The second thing to think about is what skills have you acquired to date? What technical skills have you got? What leadership or softer skills have you also acquired? Because these are going to be the foundations of the next phase of your career. So when we think about strategic career planning, we're not just thinking about some dream or aspiration of where we might like to end up, but also the concrete steps that are going to take us to that point. And as you think back through your career, you can actually see already how you have evolved both as a technical specialist and also in your leadership and management skills. And these are the skills that become incredibly important as you look to develop your career further, either within the organisation that you're currently in, or perhaps to something completely different or completely new, a different industry, a different focus area, or perhaps something that you hadn't even considered as you started your career.